For these notes, we are going to solve multi-step equations. Now, multi-step just means that there's more than 2 steps, so 3 or more. A good rule to follow for the majority of the time are these steps. Now, if you notice right here, these 3 last steps, you are very familiar with because this is when you get to a 2-step equation. So really, the first 3 steps, remove the parentheses, combine like terms, and move the variables to one side, is really the only new part. So it says solve and justify the steps by using the properties of equality. So for these directions, you got to do the statement and reason. Now we have r plus 11 plus 8r equals 29. So that problem was given to us. Now you want to read the steps. It says remove the parentheses. Well, there are no parentheses. So you don't have to do that step. You're done. Combine like terms. Now we have r plus 8r. Now you do whatever sign it tells you to do. So since it's a plus 8r, that's why we're adding. So 1 plus 8 is 9. And then drop down the r. And plus 11 equals 29. So that's combined like terms. Now the third step says move the variables to one side. Well, we already have r on the left and there's none on the right. So now we're back to our 2-step equation. We're going to take away 11 on both sides. So that is subtraction POE because we did it to both sides. Divide by 9 because that's the number with the x. And then you have x equals 2. So we did the division property of equality. Now the second problem is where distribution comes in. You want to remove the -5 by distributing it inside the parentheses. So we get -30x times -30, and then drop down the +30. Now we have no like terms, so we're just going to add 30 to both sides. Divide by -30, and then we have x equals -2. So the reasons were given, distributive property. Notice that I did not say property of equality because there is no such thing. So it's just distributive property. And then now we're going to do the addition POE because we added 30 to both sides. Finally, we did the division POE because we needed to divide by -30. And then we got our solution. Now the third problem is rather difficult or a little more complicated because you have a lot more to do. So just remember, you want to start with distribution. So 5 times 4x is 20x. 5 times 1 is a +5. So then you want to drop down everything you did not use. Make sure you're as organized as possible. So you're just creating a new line. So then we were given, we did the distributive property. That's what's written in red. Now we can do the step combine like terms. We have to remember that combining like terms only happen on the same side. So some students try to combine the -13 and the 5. You're not allowed to because one's on the left and one's on the right. So you're just collecting everything that is the same. Notice I highlighted the -2x. That will tell us that we're subtracting. 20x minus 2x is 18x plus 5. and then drop down that negative 13. So we combine like terms. And now we're going to do a two-step. Minus 5 on both sides. We get 18x equals negative 18. So we did the subtraction property of equality. Divide by a positive 18, because that's the number next to x. And then we're going to get x equals negative 1. And then negative 1 is our solution. Now for the fourth problem, remember we're going to drop down everything we're not using. So we didn't use the 8. We have nothing to do with the 8x yet. However, the negative 4 is what we're going to distribute in. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. So if you get a negative in the calculator, that really means you're going to minus. Now once again, I'm going to draw my wall. So then I have 8x, take away 4x. So 8x minus 4x is just 4x. Once again, I'm going to drop down everything I did not use. I'm going to write combine like terms because that's what I did. And once again, just like the third problem, after we combine like terms, we should be close to a two-step. And in this case, we are. So we're going to add 32 on both sides. So then we did the addition POE. And then our last step is to divide by 4. And we get x equals 10. And you can write solution. Now the fifth problem is where you can't do the steps that I provided on top because we have a denominator, and the denominator is kind of messing things up. So what I recommend you do, you put parentheses over the top. I call that Captain America's shield because you don't want anything to get through those parentheses. And we have to get rid of the bottom number. In this case, it's 2. So to undo dividing by 2, we're going to multiply by 2. And whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So I'm going to just do the multiplication property of equality. So the 2's wipe out. Captain America's shield blocked the 3x plus 5 from being affected. And now we're at the two-step. We're going to minus 5 on both sides. And then we're going to divide by 3. And you're going to get x equals 5. So we did subtraction property of equality, division property of equality, and solution. And I forgot to write given up top. Now this problem is difficult because we have variables on both sides, but you're going to treat it just like we did all of the other ones by getting rid of distribution if we have it. In this case we do. 6 times 5x is 30x. 6 times 4 is 24. Now notice I have this 30x on the left. I want to move it over, 30x on the right. We want to move it over to the left. So it's already a positive 30x, so we're going to minus 30x on both sides. That's going to go away. Negative 5x minus 30x is negative 35x. And then drop down that negative 11. And now we're to a two-step. We're going to add 11 on both sides. In this case, we only have now a negative 35x. 24 plus 11 is 35. So then we did the addition, POE. Divide by negative 35. So then we did the division, POE. Now I'm going to skip this problem right here because we did a problem like that up top for number 2, I believe, where it's just distribution. But I want to go over the last problem. Now for the last problem, students were finding this difficult because they knew that they had to distribute, but all they saw was a negative sign. So if you see a negative sign, just put a 1 there. So then you distribute negative 1 times x is negative 1x. Negative 1 times a negative 4 is plus 4. And then drop down the negative 2. So it was given. We did the distributive property. And now we're at a two-step equation. So we're going to take away 4 on both sides. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6 equals negative 1x. And divide by negative 1. So then we have x equals a positive 6.